Yeah, and that actually is true. Kushala Daora is a flagship. He was featured on the box art of Monster Hunter DOS, or Monster Hunter 2, yeah, depending on what you want to call it. I don't know if that many people know of Monster Hunter DOS, because it never made it out of Japan, and it was a game that was released for, I think it was the PlayStation, before Monster Hunter really got popular over here. I mean, if I may say so, I think Monster Hunter only really started getting popular around 3 Ultimate. But anyway, yeah, Kushala is a flagship. Not many people may know that, but yeah, he is. And I think he's the only flagship Elder Dragon. Unless you count Gore Magala, because he is technically an Elder Dragon. I mean, Shigaru Magala is classified as an Elder Dragon, and he's a juvenile Shigaru Magala. So, yeah, why not? Let's get rid of the map. I don't really need the map for the dunes. Okay, let's get rid of that. I'm trying to think if there are any other flagship Elder Dragons. Well, regardless of that, Kushala definitely isn't the only returning Elder Dragon in this game. You've got the rest of the classics, like Teostra and Chameleos. Actually, come to think of it, Teostra is a flagship monster as well. He was on the box art for the original Monster Hunter Frontier. Oh, look who it is. It's our good friend Cephadrome again. Huh? What? Who's there? I love it when he does that. Anyway. Yeah, Teostra was on the original Monster Hunter Frontier. Now, if you don't know of Monster Hunter Frontier, it's, I guess it's kind of like Monster Hunter's version of World of Warcraft. It just keeps coming out with these updates every few months. And these updates add stuff like new monsters is the most obvious one, but it also adds occasionally new weapons and new gameplay mechanics. And yeah, Teostra was on the box for the original one. Weird how they went with Teostra and not one of the new monsters, because that's what they did in every subsequent update. With every update, they showcase one of their brand new monsters. But yeah, the original Frontier, I think it had everything from Monster Hunter Freedom 2, so like Tigrex and a Cantor, but not Ukonlos and Nargacuga. In fact, Nargacuga was introduced to Monster Hunter Frontier only very recently, in the last year, I think. But anyway, yeah, they did have 2 new monsters in Frontier. They had everything from Freedom 2, and then they had the Hypnocatrus and Lavasioth. Most people know these monsters from Freedom Unite, but they were introduced originally in Frontier. I know I sound like I know a lot about Monster Hunter Frontier, but in fact, I barely know anything. Whenever they come out with a new update, all I really care about are new monsters. Frontier is a massive game, absolutely ridiculously massive at this point, and new monsters are pretty much only the tip of the iceberg. They're always introducing brand new gameplay mechanics and whatnot that I could really care less about, and I barely understand. So, plus it's Japanese only, so if you don't play Japanese, then you probably won't understand a whole lot of these gameplay mechanics either. I mean, it's not as if you need to know Japanese to play a Monster Hunter game. I mean, it's all the same. Even though you won't know the names of the items you need to forage, you can always just make educated guesses. Oh, Cephadrome is back? Really? I'll just gather here and make myself scarce. Huskberry, get out of here. Another Huskberry, get out of here. Anyway, yeah, only thing I really care about Monster Hunter Frontier is the new monsters. Because let's be honest, that's the only reason people play Monster Hunter. For the monsters. And Monster Hunter Frontier has introduced quite a few awesome ones. Yeah, in the first update, it was basically Freedom 2 with 2 new monsters. Then in the second and third updates, they started introducing more new monsters. They had the Espinus and the Akuravashimu, as well as subspecies for those monsters, of course. Then what else? Yeah, then some new gameplay mechanics, like, I don't know. I barely know anything about that stuff. I do know, though, that they started introducing new moves for weapons in, I think it was the 10th update, Season 10. And then they introduced a brand new weapon in the Monster Hunter Frontier G. What is it? The Tonfas, that was it. They introduced that new weapon. And they recently included the Switch Axe in Frontier, which I'm not too fond of. I mean, it's not as if I play Frontier. Good God, I wouldn't know how to start playing Monster Hunter Frontier. But it seems as if Frontier is getting all these things from the main series, like the Switch Axe, and they recently got an update in their graphics, and a few other new things. Like, I think they got faster climbing, like what was introduced in 4 Ultimate. And I think there's been talk about getting the ability to continuously gather from gathering spots, like in Monster Hunter Generations. It's like they're getting so much stuff from the main series, and the main series is really not really getting anything from Monster Hunter Frontier. I mean, you could possibly make the argument that some of the monsters' new moves and some of the new monsters themselves have been inspired by stuff from Frontier. And you could argue that the deviants in this game are kind of inspired by the Frontier's hardcore monsters, which, by the way, it's just one of my favorite ideas in Frontier, my favorite mechanic, because hardcore monsters are basically monsters with minor aesthetic differences and from their original selves and updated movesets to make them a lot tougher. But anyway, you could say that the deviants were inspired by that, but let's be honest. We're not really getting anything from Frontier. No crossover monsters or anything like that. Which is, they haven't done that since Freedom Unite, where we got Hypnocatrix and Lavasioth. No, we haven't gotten any of that. And recently, Frontier has been getting all kinds of stuff from the main series. I mean, it started with Zinogre. They got Zinogre in their game. Then they brought over Devil Joe and Brachydios, Barioth, all those monsters. In fact, they even had a poll to see which monster people wanted to see next in Frontier. I think it was Sand Barioth, Vespoid Queen, Geodrome, and Stygian Zinogre. Vespoid Queen won, but there's no word about actually bringing her over to Frontier. Instead, there's talk about bringing Stygian Zinogre, who didn't win the poll. What was the point? Honestly, Zinogre feels so overrated. It's getting a whole lot of attention that it doesn't deserve. But anyway, what was I talking about again? Oh yes, you can say that we're kind of getting stuff from Frontier in the main series, very small things, but let's be honest, all we really want are some of the Frontier monsters over here in the main series to be able to be hunted. A lot of the monsters in Frontier I personally could not care about, but I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to fight that, what was that one wyvern? The one with the electricity, looks kind of like a vulture. Oh yeah, the Berukaiurosu. I mean, that's one of the oldest Frontier monsters, and I've wanted to fight him ever since I laid eyes on it. It looks like such an awesome monster. Yeah, there's the Berukairosu. What else? Oh yeah, there's the one I mentioned earlier, the Akuravashimu, the scorpion. Let's get rid of the insect husks, better yet. The Akuravashimu. Maybe the wolves. The Kamu Anono Arugaran. Just stop me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Then what else? Oh, yeah, actually, I'd be happy if they just gave us the Bloodsucker. The one from the swamp, the Baruragaru. I would love that monster in the main series. It's the coolest thing Frontier has ever come up with. Don't ask me why I'm killing these Hermitars. I'm cruel. Actually, I don't really see any spots here. Aside from honey. I guess I could gather some more of that. Yeah, just bring the Bloodsucker to the main series and I'll be happy. I'd love to fight that. It's the only monster in Frontier that has a pinning attack, and because, I mean, since Frontier is based around Freedom 2... Okay, now, here's something I haven't mentioned, just interrupting myself for a second. If you crouch on the ground and the boss monster sees you, it'll basically ignore you. There will still be music playing, like it's aware of you, but it won't actually attack. So Cephadrome doesn't see me at all, actually. So I think it's safe to actually just head onto the next area. He's just standing there, looking at the sand as if it holds the mystery or the answers to life's mysteries. Cephadrome might be a fish, but he does some deep thinking. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Baruragaru and Freedom 2. Something about Freedom 2. Right. Dung bombs didn't work the same as they did back then. I've tried using dung bombs in Freedom Unite, and I was completely flabbergasted as to how they worked. Yeah, dung bombs, you didn't just chuck them at a monster, they'd hit, and the monster would have like that coating of dung around them that signified that it was under the effects of the dung bomb. No, I think you just threw the dung bomb and it exploded into this huge brown cloud that covered a huge area. And I have no idea what that was all about. I never knew how to use dung bombs in Freedom Unite. But anyway, I'm assuming they work the same way in Frontier, because Frontier is based on Freedom 2. So, in other words, I don't think you'd be able to use a dung bomb to free yourself from Baruragaru's pinning attack. And for those of you who don't know about Baruragaru's pinning attack, it's utterly terrifying. That Khonshu just slammed into his brother there. That's unfortunate. But anyway, yeah, what the thing would do, its whole gimmick revolves around the use of its tongue and how it can copy abilities from the monsters it eats. And it eats by literally stabbing its tongue into their innards and draining them of their blood, which is horribly morbid and pretty awesome at the same time. But, yeah, it pins if it pins you, it'll suck you dry, and that does massive damage. Like, because I don't think dung bombs work the same as they do in Frontier, as in more recent games, then you're pretty much screwed if that thing gets a hold of you. Plus, once it starts draining you, it becomes able to spit your own blood at your teammates for use as a weapon, which is absolutely terrifying. But honestly, I just really want to see that thing brought into the main series. It would be fantastic. So yeah, I actually managed to find all 20 tropical berries, and I spent the entire quest rambling about Monster Hunter Frontier. What do you know? I hope I kept you guys entertained, because if I hadn't been rambling, then my commentary would have been reduced to, okay, no tropical berries here. Oh, got some Macalite ore over there. Why am I killing that Hermitor? I don't know. Yeah, but I'm glad I was able to provide you with some moderately interesting commentary. And more importantly, we actually ended up completing the request from the Street Cook. That's actually our first, technically not our first village request, but our first village request from a character of another game. So I'm going to head right over to Kokoto. I'm leaving the Hunter's Hub in the process, of course. And we'll continue with the village quests. So I just use the bottom screen here.